Ciao, I'm Mario, Swiss Car Guy on YouTube, and today I'm sitting on some stairs, the new stairs of my house, because this is a long overdue house update video. Because I think I showed you the house last time in June, and that was before doing any work to it, and now basically all the renovations are finished and I've been living here for over a month. So I think I will show you what I've been up to and what the house looks like now. And let's start with the stairs. Originally this house had wooden stairs that I didn't like very much, so I replaced them with these that have an LED strip, which is, by the way, a addressable LED strip, so there is effects when it turns on and stuff like that. And yes, there is only a railing on one side, but I think it's enough and it looks a lot better than it used to. This is, by the way, a stair that I ordered from a home improvement store, so it's not like some expensive designer thing, but I had professionals mount it and they did a terrible job because first, if you look, these steps, each step is screwed in with like 8 screws, so 4 on each side, and those guys, even though it took them 2 days to put this thing up, only put 4 screws into every step. And they also complained that the railing is very loose and won't hold. So after I tightened the bolts of the railings, it wasn't loose anymore. And after I put in the rest of the screws, I feel a lot more safe about this. But let's go on directly. Should we go on? No, let's take a turn. Because the door used to be like wood colored. I think it was oak colored or something like that. It was oak because I think it's an oak door. Now it is anthracite, so dark gray, almost black, and I think it looks great. I still have to change the handle because this is still the old handle and it doesn't really work. I added a nookie and an electronic opener because smart home, of course. Everything is smart, 2024, nobody uses keys anymore. Now the difference here in the entrance is the ceilings, because it used to be all open ceilings with wooden beams, and now I had drywall ceilings put up everywhere to incorporate my spots and also a radar presence sensor, so they will turn on and off automatically. And the same continues over here in, wow, my new kitchen, which, if you remember what this looked before, yeah, this is quite an improvement, even though people laugh at the dozens of spots there are, but I think the light is needed and it's not that bright even with all the spots on. Yes, the kitchen. It's a bit messy right now because I still sort of live here and it's not a museum, but I really like the way the kitchen turned out. I think it's very nice. The worktop, the surface here, this is ceramic. It's really cool, it's really eye-catching, plus there is the extractor built into the cooker, so that's great. That's all induction. It works really well. It looks great. It's very spacious. I was a bit, scared it might be too tight, but it turned out really spacious and I really love how it came out. The appliances are all by Miele, so the dishwasher, the fridge, the 2 ovens and the pièce de résistance, the chamber vacuum sealer that's enclosed here in this drawer. It's a bit of a spleen, but like 15 years ago, I found out that Miele produce a chamber vacuum sealer that is enclosed in a drawer and can be fitted to a regular kitchen and be very inconspicuous. When I saw that they had it, I swore to myself, if I ever buy a kitchen myself and have the space for it, I will have that chamber vacuum sealer. And now I have. I've used it a couple of times. It works really well and I love it. I absolutely love it. This is one of the little touches that makes this place mine, because a sane person would never have this, but I absolutely adore it. This piece of worktop is wrong because the dimensions are wrong. You see, it's not quite finished because it doesn't reach up to here, and also it is like on this side, there's too much of a gap. So I'm still in talks with the kitchen builder to amend this, and by amending this I mean this work surface has to be replaced, but they cannot believe that it's wrong because they measured 2 times, blah 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 blah, and yes, they're dragging their feet, but they will have to rectify this because this is not okay and I want to finish. I don't want a gap here, such a nasty gap. Also, you might notice the windows are all dark anthracite too, so they're all black. And what I really like, I even got a space for my antique meat slicer here from 1975. It still works great. And when I turn it on in this house, the lights don't flicker, so great. Let's go to the dining area. It's not really a dining room, it's more a dining area. This is the old glass table that I had, and I realize it's a very 2009-ish look, because that's probably when I bought it, but it's still in good condition. The chairs, they are really gone, but I've already ordered new ones for very cheap, because I just bought a house, I don't have a lot of money. Table, yeah, maybe I could even do with a bigger table, but I don't have money to buy a table right now, so that's that. Then here we have the living room, the living area. There we have my old 75-inch TV with my old speakers and my open hi-fi rack. And this is an open rack that I will never get rid of, because it's one of the few racks that are big enough to fit my AV receiver. That thing down there, because it's probably 16 years old or something like that. And I will never get rid of that. The Pioneer SC LX90 from 2008. I own a lot of stuff from 2008, like my Lexus and my Porsche. Seems to have been a good year. It cost like 12,000 francs when it came out, and I thought to myself, one day I will own one. I bought it around 8 years later, used of course, for I still think 2,500 francs, but this is probably the best integrated amplifier, multi-channel amplifier Pioneer ever made, and it took Pioneer like 8 years to develop it. It's even called the Susano, which apparently in Japanese means something like a desert wind or something like that. So this receiver, it's large and it weighs about, I think, 40 kilos. So I had to have a rack or something to put it on that's large enough and that can support the weight. And this is why I bought this Spectral. I think this is a PL 152. It's also, this is out of production. They don't do these anymore because these are not fashionable anymore, these open glass racks, but I love them, and it's like hi-fi from 20 years ago where I couldn't afford it. And this thing, this glass rack alone, because it can support like 200 kilos of weight, it actually also weighs about 200 kilos. So the movers, they had a field day with this. I tried to tidy it up, but you're still gonna see cables because it's an open rack. And I know it's not fashionable, but I love it, and it fits well with my, 20 years ago hi-fi aesthetic. I mean, also my loudspeakers, they are from the 1980s because they say made in West Germany, but they sound fantastic. These are Quadral Corun Mark IVs, I believe. I bought them very cheap, used like 15 years ago or something like this, and they still sound fantastic. And I have this motto, I say, if hi-fi sounded great 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago, it still sounds great today, because loudspeaker technology, while it might have improved in efficiency, fundamentally the speakers still work the same and most likely sound the same. So a good high-end working speaker from 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, probably is a better buy than like a mid-range or an entry-level speaker from now. And vintage hi-fi, especially speakers, big speakers that nobody wants because they clutter up the living room, they can be bought for very cheap. The couch, it is gigantic. It's very comfortable, and it does just barely fit. I measured it to just barely fit because I wanted the largest possible couch. So here it is, and then it's in this nice cognac color that I also really, really wanted. I also added, of course, the poof, the ottoman here, and this little side table, because in the end you need a place to put stuff. So this is the living room, and of course everything is placed onto my parents' old Afghan silk carpet. This thing is like 40 years old. I remember when we bought it, and I also remember this thing costing like half a month's wage or something like that. So it was super expensive. And yeah, I thought it would fit better. And also, I would have dragged it further ahead so that it's not cut off here. But the couch weighs like 200 kilos. So it's going to stay like this probably forever. And since we already had the peak outside, let's go to the sunroom, which Basically looks exactly like it looked in the last video, except that it's now storage with all my storage box, my moving boxes and stuff. Whoa, it's cold in here. Yeah, I haven't touched this. This is really just space where I put the stuff I haven't put away. And most of this stuff actually belongs to the garage. So, because the stuff for the living area is basically put away, but a lot of garage stuff still in here that I have to put down, but I haven't created the space in the garage yet. So this is why it is the way it is. Let's continue. See, sensor's working. Into the bathroom. The bathroom is basically the same as it was. The only difference is the anthracite window now, of course, and the ceilings with the built-in spots. So I have light in this bathroom. That's all. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not a big fan of this green stuff, but it's not offensive. And plus it has like an AquaClean 8000 Plus, which in its day was like a 5,000-6,000 franc toilet, because it is a bidet. It does wash your butt. It does dry it with air. It has air filters and stuff. I kind of like a bidet, so I don't mind it. But also the shower is, I like it actually. It's a nice size. It doesn't feel small. And what I personally like it is the pole where the shower head is fixed is tall. Because usually as a tall person, they tend to be too low. So you always have to like duck in order to take a shower. And this, I can stand up straight and take a shower, which I like. So yeah, the bathroom stays the way it is. The washing machine is basically just for decoration or to put things on top, because it's very broken. I don't think I'll ever have it fixed. So I might just as well get rid of it at some point. So yeah, the bathroom. Here's the main bedroom. The only thing we did here is the roof with the spots, and of course the tile floor, which is the same tile in all of the apartment basically. A lick of coat and my old furniture in here. There's the wardrobe, it can stay, but the bed I will have to replace it at some time because this is so old. And also the cheap IKEA nightstand there is just crappy. Oh, and also the doors are still the same. I need to replace them at some point because they're just nasty. But this is basically the bedroom. And also you might notice there a little radiator, an electric radiator, because when I moved into the house, I was happy to have this with me because the heating didn't work properly. So without that, I would have been freezing. And now comes what used to be the shit room, which was the birds room where there was, shit all over the walls. The shit is gone. Also here we have the same floors in it. And this is basically a room. It is my guest room because there's a bed, but these wardrobes here, they are not really for storing clothes, my guest clothes. No. These are for storing cleaning utensils. So this whole room basically is my cleaning utensils room. And even this cupboard, yeah, it's a cupboard now, but this wardrobe, I turned it into a cupboard by adding some more shelves. So everything I have in here basically is cleaning utensils and my 3D printer, as well as my robot, a box for old cardboard, and this I mounted high. I know it looks super weird, but the way I maximize the space so it doesn't use any more footprint, because otherwise I wasn't going to put anything above the robot vacuum. So I have this on top of the robot vacuum. Yeah, and I didn't want to use the space here because I plan to buy another vacuum, one that washes and vacuums at the same time, and that I would most likely put here because they usually have, like the robot, have a little station that cleans them and dries them and everything. And so I would put that there, then have my 3 vacuums here, plus my 4th vacuum here, my old Black & Decker hand vacuum that I converted to DeWalt batteries. Very handy. So that's about it for the living area. We can still go upstairs. Even though upstairs nothing happens, still looks the same. But let's go upstairs. I realized today that I own probably 8 vacuum cleaners in total. You see more boxes, more storage area up here. In this, to me this is a useless space, but anyway, the user space is now useless storage space. The railing here has been painted, even though I didn't want to paint it, because I said with what painting costs, I might just as well replace it. But my contractor didn't really understand that, so she had it all painted. It cost 2.5 grand to have this shit painted. What a waste of money. The little bathroom here, I haven't touched it yet. The toilet is still broken, I still have to fix it, but you know, one thing at a time. And then here comes the big room that is an absolute mess right now, because there's still stuff to unpack. Even here, the sort of closet or what it is, stuff to unpack, stuff to unpack, stuff to unpack, some more stuff to unpack. I bought shelves because I want to fill this all with shelves, basically as many as I can get. And I reckon in here, of these type of shelves, I can fit 11. This will give me a lot of space to put stuff away. Then I will put these Kallax shelves here into the office here at the other side of the wall, because these are kind of nicer to have in an office space, whereas these are like very industrial and everything. The thing is, I have 2 of these in the garage, and it took me 1 hour each to build them, to assemble them. So I have bought 9 more, and I need a total of 11 for here. So that's like an entire day's worth of work. So not great. But this is probably my main closet of the house, the only closet I have, and I intend to fill it to the brim and use it to the max. And then here's the office, which is also a freaking mess. The only thing I have enabled a bit is this, my desk, because I needed to also to work for home office and stuff. So this is the thing I set up: my desk, my chair, the computer, the printers on the floor, because I think I will put it on a Kallax shelf once I have it. I put these shelves up here so I can have my amplifier and even the old turntable there. But yeah, the important thing is the computer, because I also work from home from time to time, so I need to have my computer here. No, the computer not, but at least my screen, which by the way, this is a 40-inch TV. It cost like $300 6 years ago when I bought it, and it's great. It's been a great office monitor for me. My little bookshelf speakers, these sound great. These are Castle Trends from like the 80s. Great sound quality. And of course my video calling setup, which consists usually of the camera I'm filming this with, my Sony Alpha 7 Mark IV, and this is a Sennheiser ME66 microphone that goes into a Zoom F6, which I use as an interface for that. And yeah, this is basically the only thing I did sort of set up, but it's also a mess, you see. Even that Kallax shelf back there, it's very messy because it's not gonna stay there. I have to move things around. First, I had one of the wardrobes I had in the small room up here. It was on this wall here, but then I decided that I could fit it downstairs and it would be more useful downstairs, so I moved it back down. And now I still have to organize this space here. So don't know yet what I'm gonna do with it. And also this is a collection of my empty packages, because I keep empty packages, which was very convenient in moving, because I could put my office TV right in here and everything. But now I think I'm gonna throw it away because never gonna move again, so great. But this is basically the upper floor. And if you remember, originally there used to be like the dog house here. This used to be like this corner, there was like a little house, little separation, like basically done like that, but smaller and without light. And this is gone now, and it frees up the space and it gives me more space to put things. And I don't know what I'm gonna do up here, but I think it will take me years to put everything away, because when I put something away, I just don't want it to be out of sight. I want it to be in its place, because otherwise, once I search for it, I will never find it. So I have to first create their place. But this is, I think, all for the interior of the house. This is still where they had their clothes hanging wires here. I need to still remove this, but with time. And by the way, this light is still manual. This annoys me, because even the lights here in the office, I have them controlled by a sensor, Nakara FP1 presence sensor. So radar everywhere. So let's go out downstairs, because I know this is the most important part, or the most interesting part of this house. Oh, before you go downstairs, let's look at this. Ah, something is missing, and thank God for that. When I bought the house, there was a gigantic silo right there, about 6 meters tall. There was like a funnel for inside the silo there, and behind it was a big machine, which I believe it was kind of like an industrial strength wood splitter or something like that. They are all gone. I paid for their removal. I have no idea how much, because I haven't received the invoice yet. But I reckon removing all these things cost me like 2 grand at least. But it's much better, because now also there's a possibility to enter with the car there and then to drive all the way to the house. Outside is still very green. I haven't done anything. This is something for next year. This year's gone. And also back there's nothing new. I actually even haven't mowed here since I moved, so maybe I need to mow one of these days if it's still kind of nice weather. Still terrible, I still haven't addressed it, but let's not talk about it. Let's go downstairs. Let's turn on the light because it's so dark. Okay, first thing, you can see my mom's car, the melanzana, the eggplant in here, because my car is at her place waiting to be worked on because the radiator's leaking, and yeah, I would do it myself, but the garage already ordered the part in August, or when was it? Yes, in August, and so they have it, so they should do it. Anyway, you see, this is still a mess here because I haven't finished like putting everything away, and also there's like cardboard and everything. I just made enough space so I could drive into with the car here. Let's go through these single rooms. The bane of my existence, the wood heating, it's terrible. This broke right after I moved in, because I was firing up, and then it wasn't getting warm upstairs, and then I was getting messages like over temperature, the furnace would turn off, water would be released to cool it down, and turns out the pump, because there's a pump here, the recirculation pump that pumps the water everywhere, was broken, and replacing this pump was very expensive, because all these valves here that you need to shut off the water in order to change the pump, they were all completely seized and started leaking the very moment the technicians started turning them. So they had to basically freeze the water, then cut out a piece and put in new valves and everything and a new pump. It cost me 3 grand to fix it. And it's still acting up, it still does stupid shit, because this stupid heating needs to be replaced. I hate it. And also now, let's see. Great, my buffer's at 3%. The buffer is back here, this gigantic water buffer, it's not visible. It's at 3%, that means I have to fire up. I have to fire it up, I have to load more wood and fire it up. I hate it! Anyways, what I don't hate is that. This is all my LAN cables, my ridiculous Cat 8.1 LAN cables that were routed down here by the electrician. And right now here I have my old IKEA kitchen table where my home server runs, and you know, little keyboard and stuff to control it, my modem is. But basically I have in the garage a rack cabinet, and I need to mount this one of these days. Yeah, and I should really mount this because right now everything is powered by that modem with these, it's 4 LAN connections, and I have 2, I think 10 port, 10 gigabit switches here that wait to be mounted. And also once I mount that, since one of the switches is a PoE switch, it can supply power to the access point I need to put up in the apartment, because there's still a loose cable hanging from the ceiling. That's the access point that I still have to connect up, because right now I couldn't power it. And yeah, there's still so much work to do. But this, it works for now, but I need to improve it. This works for now, but who knows how long. And next year I have to replace the ceiling. I really have to replace the ceiling because I'm not going to pump thousands of francs into fixing this old shit that I have to fire up every 2 days. It's terrible. I hate it so much. Oh yeah, this is my rack cabinet that I just have to build up. These are my PoE switches. No, this is the PoE switch, this is the non-PoE switch. These are rack mount accessories. So this is going to get very neat at some point, but if I continue at the pace I'm doing now, it's probably going to take 10 years. Nothing changed in the cellar, I believe. It's still a cellar. And I still have too much stuff that isn't Pepsi in here. I put tools and utensils in here before I had moved here because this room was untouched by everything. But now that I have other rooms, I need to get this stuff out and continue to fill the cellar with Pepsi and possibly other food stuff. The small garage is also a place where I haven't done a lot. By the way, these wheels there, they are strategic because they prevent the door from opening too much and hitting a car that might be parked here. So this. Yeah, everything that I've done in here, basically I washed it out, I cleaned it out, the floors, but I haven't really cleaned the upper surfaces like this, still very dirty. And I cut off these metal prongs that were in the walls because this way when I drive in here with a car, I don't risk destroying it. But there is no car inside here because usually this is where my Porsche parks, but my Porsche is not here because I switched it with a different car temporarily, and I did put in an electric garage door opener finally, so this should now open. Not the smoothest things, but it works. And yes, I put in a Chamberlain garage door opener, which is, you know, Chamberlain LiftMaster Groove, which you shouldn't put in because they did some shenanigans with their MyQ home automation platform that they closed the APIs and stuff like that. But I don't care because I'm using my own smart home implementation. Of course, I'm going to connect this through ESP Home to Home Assistant. But this is the outside. I moved around a few pallets because I needed to be able to go in and out. This is stuff I basically have to throw away. I just have it stored here because it's out of the way and I can still drive in and out. This is the car I borrowed from work because I needed to throw stuff out, so I got the big van with the hydraulic lift at the back, which is very handy. And yeah, I did actually install a backup camera into this. Very difficult to see, but there is the backup camera I installed. And why did I install a backup camera into a car I don't own? Well, it's quite simple. Because I borrow this from time to time, and I like to be able to back up without crashing into things. Still hasn't prevented me to knock down a garden shed yesterday, because I got it going forward, hit that corner, knocked it right down. So yay, insurance claim. This is great. This is a 2016 Ford Transit with 35,000 kilometers. And the funniest thing is this, the service sticker. Next service December 19 at 39,000 kilometers. So this car has like driven less than 5,000 kilometers in 6 years. 5 years, yeah, something like that. Oh, and that there you can see, maybe, the fancy backup camera and recorder and monitor I have installed. Let's see if it works. This is, of course, from AliExpress, and it cost, I think, about 35 francs. Yeah, it works. It's even an AHD camera, so it's basically one of the better kinds of cameras. And monitor and camera cost 35 bucks. Plus installation and that I did myself, but it came with all the wires and stuff. So yeah, this is quite nice. And now you can finally see out. Too bad I didn't have cameras up front so I wouldn't crash into the garden shed. But enough of the Ford Transit. We're not going upstairs because upstairs I did absolutely nothing. I didn't even clean upstairs, so it still looks the same. It's terrible. I still have to figure out what to use it for. But here in the garage, one of the things I had to do, I had to fix the garage door because one of these tensioning wires had snapped, so it wouldn't really work properly. I replaced it myself, almost killing myself in the process because I released the tension up there before releasing the tension in the spring. So once I had unscrewed the screw up the front, everything just really shot backwards, and yeah, it missed me, thankfully, so I'm still here. But I didn't realize that I had to open the garage door fully before releasing the tension up front. Hey, but you live and learn, right? And now it sort of works. And by sort of, I mean it works. All of this is nice and good, but you see most of it here. The thing you haven't seen yet is the workshop, because the tenant has finally moved out of the workshop and I've taken possession of it. So let's step into the workshop. The workshop that has a connecting door to my garage, which is very convenient. And the first thing we see is the Trans Am. And more crates and more stuff in the way. These are the 2 shelves I already put up, which took me 2 hours. And I'm questioning myself whether I should put in more, because I still need to have space here to park a car in this space, because the workshop is not that big. Let me turn on some lights so we can see better. I have to say, this workshop has quite strong lights. Makes it quite nice, and it's probably pretty good for filming. But basically, my workshop. My goal is to have a car parked here, maybe be able to fit a car there. I bought some wood, so this is all full of wood now because I have wood burning heating, so I need wood to burn. This was, by the way, this is over 1,000 francs in wood. It's No, not this. There is another pallet in the garage. So it's 6 pallets of wood. It was, I think, around 1,100 francs in wood. And I don't believe this is enough to heat the entire winter. So fantastic. But my workshop. The idea is I park a car here. I park a car here. And I would like to leave this empty so I can work on the lift and not have to move a car every time I want to work. The lift and the compressor is something I bought off the previous tenant. I most likely overpaid, but I mean, at least I have the lift. It seems to be working mostly. I haven't lifted anything yet, even though I have this workshop since over a month. But the compressor, I mean, it's fine. It has a nice auxiliary tank that's nice and large, but pumping that up to 8 bar takes like 10 minutes. So the compressor is not very strong. It's not that loud, but it's not really strong for what it is. Back there is the toilet, which I haven't cleaned, haven't looked in because the previous tenant didn't really clean here. But this is a garden table I bought at work for very little money, but I just basically put it in here until I find somebody who helps me dragging it upstairs onto the patio, so it stays here. Yeah, these are the winter tires of my Lexus because I haven't put them on here. This is very dirty because there used to be a workbench here that the previous tenant left behind because I told him it was okay to leave it because I might use it. But after having had a closer look at it, I realized it was beyond use. It was really terrible. So yesterday I loaded it up onto the work van, and I brought it to the dump, and I paid $250 or something like this to throw all this stuff away. It's terrible, but at least now it's gone. I need to clean here. The workshop in itself, you might think, very dirty, Mario. I spent over 10 hours scrubbing and cleaning these floors. It was a lot of work. They were a lot dirtier before, and you see in some places it got cleaner and some places it got less clean. But it was a lot of work, and especially getting the water out if you cleaned with water, because I had to rinse the thing, and then the water would be standing out, so I had to basically either suck it up with a workshop vacuum, or I had to basically just shove it outside. So it was a lot of work, and this is why yesterday with the van I went to pick up this baby here, which is a professional floor cleaning machine, which of course I bought used from a school. And the nice thing is it's freshly serviced. It was serviced a month ago because the school had taken it out of use because it broke. And then they figured they would service it and then ask internally if somebody wants it and sell it internally. But internally nobody wanted, so they put it for sale up on an auction site, and I bought it. So I'm looking forward to cleaning this, and the good thing about this is it scrubs the floor wet and then sucks it up right away, so you don't have standing water you have to get rid of. And I want to try it, of course, back there where that old workbench used to be, to see how well it does. But that's not going to be on video. Anyway, the workshop with a functioning lift, and the cool thing is, not only does it have a lift, it also has a crane. Oh yes, this is a 1,000-kilogram crane. It can lift up to 1,000 kilogram, and I've used it yesterday to lift up that workbench, put it on a pallet so I could transport it with my pallet transporter, and it works perfectly. In fact, let's see if it works right now. Nothing should prevent it from working. With this great remote here, and the best thing is, you can basically roll this over the whole workshop and use it wherever you need. So I could even use this to, lift an engine out or something like that. It's great. It's slow, but honestly, that is not an issue. This is as high as it will go. Maybe we move it out of the way a bit. Oh, and by the way, in these machines here, this hydraulic press, tire balancer, tire changing machine, they are the previous tenant's machine. I haven't bought these off of him. I did for the compressor and for the lift because they are fixed installed, and they're not very mobile, and I think they are decent enough for me. I didn't buy these because, first, I didn't want to give him any more money, and the other thing is, these are kind of shabby machines. They are not in a very good state, and I reckon I can buy better machines if I want them later on, and I most likely will, because I really want to have a tire changing machine, but I want to have like a fancy one and not one like this, and So anyway, thing for later. Yeah, this door, fully manual door, locked by a little latch like this, and then it's really heavy to open. I have to find a way to automate this door also, because I want to be able to use the space also a bit as a garage, and therefore the door needs to be automized. Heavy. One thing you also notice, the workshop compared to the garage next door, is the fact that there's in-floor heating here. So it is considerably warmer in here than in there. So I also make a point out of keeping that door closed always, because I don't want the heat from the workshop escaping into the garage. The shanty town is still here. These are the previous tenant's wheels. He still has to pick them up once he has space for them, the same as for the machines. And there was some more stuff that I threw away, that I packed onto the van and threw away. There were like metal stuff, concrete stuff. I don't even know what the stuff was, but I managed to pick it up, throw it away, and I had like, when I went to the dump, I had like 650 kilos of stuff I threw away with that workbench and all this thing. But there's more to throw away, like these airbrush thing here. Airbrush. Wow. And materials, and also, what am I going to do with these chunks of wood? I'm not going to split them. And you might notice I had wood inside that I bought, but it's all full of wood outside here. Well, the thing is, this wood is very damp because this shanty town is not doing a very good job at keeping moisture away. It's very damp, it doesn't have the right dryness. And the other problem is, for some reason, I presume this is wood from the previous owner's own woods. These chunks are way too long, because my furnace only takes 50 centimeter chunks and this one's easily a meter. Most of these are 80 centimeters. So I had to buy a saw and saw most of them in half so I could actually fit them into the furnace. And there are ones, like probably this chunky boy, it's too large for my saw. So I cannot fit it in the saw, I cannot saw it, and then I cannot burn these at all. I would have to split them once more through, but I'm not going to split them by hand because I'm not the Incredible Hulk. And also, I'm not going to buy a wood splitter because I don't need any more machines. So I bought new wood because look at this. And it goes into the plants there, so this is all wet. This is all useless for burning. And at some point I might have to throw this away. I have to pay to throw this away. This is a piece I tried to cut, but it was too large. I couldn't fit it into the saw. And this is some other woods and stuff. And look, and you can see here that obviously you have humidity coming through, so stuff bends through. And this is more crap and more metal stuff, and oh boy. Yeah, anyway, this will get better with time. I will throw most of this away. I hope I can burn some of this wood and then get rid of this entire shantytown thing. And then also cut back the hedges here because they are gigantic and too large. And oh no, and there's also metal parts behind there. More stuff to throw away. Oh, really, that's so bad. So my house, that's what it's like. What do you think of the renovation? Do you like the way it turned out? Would you have done things differently? Comment down below. And also, what do you think of my workshop? Did you think I did all right by buying this house with this workshop? I know myself, I like it a lot. Even though I haven't done a single work on a car yet. I replaced the hood struts on the Lexus. I don't know if that's a real work. But anyway, right now this is storage. I have my wood there so it doesn't get damp. The plan is that I get to work on cars at some point, even though my Lexus is now at the workshop being worked on. But I want to work on my own cars, and this is why I have this lift, why I have the compressor, why, yeah, you know. And if you have any suggestions what I should do with the place, or also if you have a good suggestion for what machinery should I get, what tools should I get, is there a good idea for shelving to use the space, because I mean, it's quite high. And also if you have an idea how to automate this door, because I would like to put an opener in here, and I thought of putting simply a garage door opener sideways up there, but there's stuff in the way. And the problem I have is this door is 3 meters 80 wide, and I need to be able to open it completely. And the problem I have, regular garage door openers usually don't have a rail that is long enough for it to open this thing the whole way. Weight I think might work, but the length just isn't there. So I have to find a way to do this. So if you know how to do that, if you have a good idea or anything, write a comment down below. And this is the end of the video, because this is probably long enough already, and it's a video about a house, and this is technically a car channel, even though I have a Trans Am shirt on and there's a Trans Am right next to me, so at least some car content. Hey, and I showed you the Transit, but basically the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.